watched the speech by Prime Minister Netanyahu, what were your thoughts? Give us 2 minutes, break it down. From the sublime to the ridiculous, if you can do it like that.
My first impression was that the hall was relatively empty, because the moment he walked into the hall, many people, many delegates just walked out. So this was, wow, this was interesting to watch. The speech itself was very good, because he's a very good public speaker. That's his strength. But I was disappointed, though not surprised, that, there was not a statement, something like, well, I'm going to announce a ceasefire today. It was not there. It was not there. So the speech was good. The delivery was, as expected, excellent, but the message was very disappointing, and the war continues.
Indeed, the message was very disappointing, you say. Let me go back. The first thing you said was you were disappointed not to hear that he was, to hear about a ceasefire. For somebody of your experience and your knowledge, why would that disappoint you?
Well, it shows what we've seen for the last 2 years, that what Netanyahu wants is the war to continue. That's his goal. He is not interested in a ceasefire, and we could explain why. But I think that tactically, he is waiting for his meeting with Trump, which will happen, which will take place on Monday. And it's very much in Trump's hands. If he decides to say to Netanyahu, enough is enough, and my impression of that he's becoming impatient with Netanyahu and Israel, this is my impression. So if Trump on Monday decides to say, that's it, you have to stop now, then Netanyahu will have to probably change his plans. For now, he's continuing with the war. And while we are here, speaking, discussing it in a very civilized way, in the Gaza Strip, it is very messy and bloody.
So, you've said pretty much what everybody has said, and has always said, that President Trump can put a stop to it. You also implied something in your response, that President Trump is possibly fed up. Am I correct? What do you think that is? What do you think would make, because arguably you have, somebody like Trump who, is polarizing, to put it nicely, across the world. Also, amongst pro-Palestinian supporters, not voting for Kamala Harris, which doesn't necessarily mean supporting Trump. But some are saying, since you didn't support Kamala Harris because of what Biden did during, for what is now known as a genocide, that means that, well, you know what? You get Trump, and Trump is never going to support Palestine. Now, you're saying, or you've implied, that President Trump is really fed up. What has made him fed up? Is it that he's fed up with Israel? Is he fed up with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu? Or he's just fed up because this is going to stop him from getting the Nobel Peace Prize, which we know is the shiniest gift that he's praying for?
Well, you put your finger, in your last sentence on the right thing, but there is something else. I have a lot of criticism. I can criticize Trump for many things, but one thing that Trump is different and very good at is sensing the instincts of public and people. He's very good at it. And I think that he realizes, and rightly so, that Israel, Netanyahu, lost the international public. I'm not even talking about leaders now, but the public. So if you take a country like Italy, for example, very close to Israel, if you take a country like Germany, very close to Israel, you can see that the public there is very much not Israel, but anti-Israeli actions in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank too.
Right.
And the West Bank
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
We can talk about it. We can talk about in a minute. And the leaders of these European countries cannot just say, okay, our public, the public is against, but we will continue to support Israel. They cannot. So you can see a shift, even in Italy, even in Germany, and even in the United States. And Trump, with his very strong instincts, understands it. He understands it. Now, the second thing, and you referred to it, is that for Trump, and we laugh at it sometimes, the Nobel Prize seems to be the most important thing that he wants to achieve in his life or in his presidency, and it is understandable. And his little baby is a normalization which he managed to achieve between Israel and some other countries about 5 years ago, Bahrain, in other places, and Israel. He is concerned that if Israel continues to do whatever it is doing in the Gaza Strip, and if Israel, in response to the declaration of my Prime Minister here in the UK and the French president, and 140 countries, if they declared that they are going to recognize Palestine, the Israelis might react, for example, by annexing, by saying that some parts of the West Bank is going to be Israel. Trump is concerned that if Netanyahu is going to do that, Trump will lose the Abraham Accords, which he achieved 5 years ago. And this is not very good for his Nobel Prize aspirations.
Indeed. And we have heard, of course, you mentioned the Abraham Accord. One of the things we have heard is the likes of Saudi Arabia, who were one of the first to sign on to it, have said, look, it's in jeopardy. If you allow the West Bank, the annexation of the West Bank to go ahead, that's our red line, and the accord falls apart. Perhaps it's then a good time to talk about the Arabs. I would like you, without even asking a direct question, without actually framing the question, let me just ask you directly, Ahron. Qualify the behavior, the response, the actions of the Arab League, by extension, the Muslim countries for us.
You see, before the 7th October attack, before Hamas attacked Israel, the idea of a Palestinian state was off the table, and everyone was fine with it. So all of a sudden, it is on the table, and Muslim countries, I believe in Africa too, not only in the Middle East, are very strongly in favor of a Palestinian state now. So we have something new on the agenda, which was not there before the 7th of October. And this changed the scene. Going back to Saudi Arabia, which was mentioned, before the Hamas attack, 7th of October 2023, it seemed as if Saudi Arabia and Israel are going to sign a normalization agreement. All of a sudden, the Hamas attack on the 7th of October, the Israeli counterattack out of proportion to the, and the Saudis are now saying, no, we cannot accept it. we have to do something about the Palestinian state, and many other Muslim countries are all of a sudden starting talking about it again. I hope that I answer your question, because I didn't hear your question very well.